Gosh darn it. Why is Splatoon 2 so good? Oh, hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another rankings video. So thank you for all of the comments left on the one that I did ranking the game packs currently released from worst to best. So I figured this was also a really good time to do one for the stuff packs because, well, they come out so fast, and especially with the news drought, yeah, there's no better time than the present to do this. And before I start this off, I do want to mention that, once again, these are my personal opinions, so they will, no, at least some of them will definitely be very different from your opinions. So yeah, just keep that in mind. This is not like a list of the objectively best stuff facts. These are just my personal thoughts. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Number 14. Oh boy, this is going to be a long one.
Luxury party stuff. I guess I'm being a bit harsh on this one, especially considering this is the very first stuff pack that came out for The Sims 4, but yeah, this is definitely something I never asked for, and the gameplay items are not very exciting to me at all either, because you just have a banquet table that's divided into two parts, the drink fountain and the buffet table. And, well, I've mentioned it once or twice before, but I don't really use parties that often in The Sims 4, which is kind of funny considering how for the first year or two they focus so much on partying. But yeah, I just don't think luxury party stuff is worth it. I use some of the formal wear and it actually does look pretty nice, and I like the new recipes that they included too, but yeah, other than that, I barely ever use it.
Number 13.
My first pet stuff. Oh boy, what can I say about this stuff pack that me and so many other people have already said? I think this pack was a complete mistake. This should have been a game pack with more small pets than just these caged rodents. Just, oh boy. It really feels so cheaply put together. I feel like they probably did have like half the budget of a normal stuff pack because there's just so many reused meshes. I didn't even notice how many there were when I was initially doing my review, and now that I've seen it all, it's just like, wow. This is absolutely terrible, and what a step back it was from Laundry Day stuff, which released before it. I really hope they never do a stuff pack like this again. Just, oh boy. This is almost like as bad as Katy Perry's Sweet Treats for The Sims 3. This stuff pack has made me very worried about the future of The Sims 4, because it feels like the floodgates have been opened for them to do literally anything, because my first pet stuff is something that you'd be used to hearing in a sort of parody of The Sims. Like, remember the first scene with Rey and Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi and how Luke reacted to Rey's arrival and her handing him the lightsaber? Like, that's something you'd see in a parody of Star Wars, not the actual thing, and that's how I feel about my first pet stuff. It's something that you would see in a parody, but no, like, this is an actual official product being sold by EA. It's like, wow, just wow. So the only reason why this is above luxury party stuff is because I actually do use this stuff pack a fair amount. Not as much the pet clothes that require cats and dogs, but I did want the small rodents. So I still use those fairly often, but it's just that the delivery of this product was so poorly executed in my opinion. It really feels like it could have been fit into cats and dogs. It wasn't really worth it to put these into their own stuff pack. Not to mention there's still the lingering question of what about the birds and reptiles and bunnies and all kinds of other small pets, because like they were really generalizing with that title too, with my first pet stuff and having the focus be rodents. Like, okay. Plenty of people would have had like a goldfish or any of the other small pets I just mentioned. But okay, I think I'll stop myself here. Just, yeah, overall, what a huge disappointment this stuff pack was. Let's move on to the next one.
Number 12.
Cool kitchen stuff. This is another pretty unpopular one. And I do agree with the majority here. This was also a pretty disappointing pack. Not as disappointing as my first pet, but yeah, it's just like, okay, they call it Cool Kitchen, but then there's only one kitchen set. Okay. It's like there's mostly clothes. The item count is kind of hidden a little bit just because they have like the different forms of all the counters, but still, it's just like, oh, it didn't really feel like there was enough focus on the kitchen. And, well, the ice cream is actually cool, no pun intended, because it is really interesting how there's many different flavors, and even like the plant sim flavor that you just saw a second ago. It's definitely the best ice cream you've ever had in the series, so I will give it that. And its usefulness did get raised a little bit when we got Dine Out, because then you can add ice cream for dessert in the restaurant, so that's come in handy. But yeah, still, it was a little bit of a disappointment. I just wish my Sims wouldn't love having ice cream for breakfast, then I'd use the ice cream even more than I already do.
Number 11.
Romantic garden stuff. This one really has not stood the test of time for me. It just kind of pales in comparison to some of the later stuff packs, in my opinion. It's kind of an interesting idea to have a pack that has a focus on romance, but it felt like it really didn't have too much actual romance to it. The new genre of music baroque was nice, and I do like some of the creative sim items, especially the female hairstyle for the adults. That's one of my favorites in the whole game. But as a whole, this is another pack that I don't really use all that often. The gameplay objects are kinda cool to use in rare circumstances, like the wishing well, which is basically a glorified cheat object, but with the possibility of it going wrong. And the fountain is quite big, although I do like the interactions with it, like being able to add soap, and the play-in interaction is really cute, so I guess that can be a little bit romantic. But, I don't know, it's just kinda eh.
Number 10.
Spooky stuff. This is the first stuff pack that we're talking about on this list that I think is actually pretty decent. Unfortunately, I can't rank it as high as I'd like to because, like some of the other packs I've already talked about, it's very limited in its use. At the time of recording this video, we still don't have seasons, so it really only makes sense to use spooky stuff when it's October in real life. It's such a shame too, because I think the items themselves are really high quality. The costumes are just so cool. It's thanks to this pack that my green llama character exists. I became someone else. I am the green llama. I'm glad to have pumpkin carving back, but it's disappointing that they didn't bring back pumpkins as a harvestable along with them. The special treat bowl is a pretty cute addition though for the spooky parties, which are a new party type. Unlike Romantic Garden, maybe time will favor this one more once seasons are finally added to this game.
Number 9.
Vintage glamour stuff. Oof. I think I'm gonna get some hate for this one. I was surprised to see Vintage Glamour rank so high on the stuff pack poll that Sims community held recently, but in a way, I guess it makes sense because the pack caters so much to the American dream, what with it being very, well, glamorous and catering to the rich and famous. However, most of my Sims are upper middle class or poor. I don't have too many rich Sims, so once again, how often I use the pack's content is coming into play here. However, the creative sim and build items are really nicely done, especially those wallpapers that shine a little as you rotate the camera. As for the gameplay, the Butler is a solid addition, but the glow bar and vanity table aren't too interesting to me. The vanity table is just a way of doing makeup without loading creative sim, but it feels a bit clunky with the selection. The glow bar is just a bar that comes in a different form with a few new drinks. On the other hand, I love the interactions that kids can do with these two objects. They can apply makeup with the vanity table too, with some silly results. And kids can spin the glow bar only to hear the glasses stored inside breaking and cringing a little, which makes me laugh every time and is actually my favorite thing in this whole stuff pack. They could have just ignored kids entirely gameplay-wise, so I appreciate those extra details. The TV Classics channel is also worth mentioning. I really like that as well. So overall, I don't think this is a bad stuff pack, but I don't think it's great either. It just falls near the middle.
Number 8.
Bowling night stuff. While I am disappointed that bowling got a whole stuff pack dedicated to just that, I do like what is on offer here. Bowling is now a full skill instead of just being a hidden one, and it's surprisingly difficult to max out. You can choose from different balls once the skill is higher. You can have a bowling club if you own Get Together. Other sims show up in bowling attire at the bowling alleys, and it includes a new achievement, a feature that's pretty neglected these days. And that's done by bowling a perfect game. It's overall a fun side activity, which I love doing with families. In addition, I love the mid-century inspired clothing and objects. And as someone who's been playing The Sims since The Sims 1, I appreciate the new disco genre, where some of its music is straight from that game, adding even more onto the retro feel. I just wish that this pack could have included another gameplay object or two, like pinball or a claw machine, to help justify it being its own pack. The biggest argument I've seen against Bowling Night is that it should have been included with City Living, which I can see where they're coming from. But overall, I do like what's on offer, and bowling was something I very badly wanted to return in The Sims 4.
Number 7.
Perfect patio stuff. This was the second stuff pack released for The Sims 4, and I still think it holds up fairly well, though definitely not the best. And it's kind of an interesting spot where this falls, because hot tubs I think should have been included as a free update, but they improved the hot tubs a lot over their previous iterations. Now 8 Sims can sit in them, which is twice as much as the usual 4, and kids can use them instead of only adults. Plus, there's way more interactions available since the hot tubs share social interactions from sitting on couches. There's also some interesting upgrades that can be made with the handiness skill, which includes aromatherapy, a built-in stereo, and a hidden aromatherapy oil that gives all Sims in the neighborhood an uncomfortable buff for 4 hours. Plus, the hot tub woohoo is pretty spicy. It's probably my favorite woohoo spot in The Sims 4 so far. The backyard genre is also worth mentioning as it's one of my most used radio stations. The main reason this ranks above Bowling Night is because I use the hot tubs a lot more often, as well as the clothing and objects.
Number 6.
Fitness stuff. I can imagine that this is the one most people will disagree with. I'm sure I'm the only person who loves this stuff pack, but it helped fill my Sims' athletic needs, and I do have a lot of athletic Sims. While there's still plenty more gym equipment they should add in the future, like chin-up bars and exercise bikes, I like the rock climbing treadmill. I think overall it's an improvement over the rock wall from the Sims 3 store. But in reality, what I got the most out of this stuff pack was, well, I desperately needed more athletic wear for my Sims. I was getting so tired of using the same ones over and over again, and custom content didn't really help enough in that department either. So when this came out, this was a huge relief to me. I fall back on fitness stuff so often for athletic wear. I just love it. The objects are really nice too, even though I kind of have a thing where I think The Sims has too much modern furniture, but the furniture I feel like in this pack is distinctive enough where it doesn't feel like it's repeating too much. There's kind of this more nature-inspired vibe in these modern objects compared to other modern furniture that we received in packs like Get Together, so I feel like it does stand out on its own. There's also some new gameplay in the form of earbuds and a couple of workout videos that your Sims actually try to sync up with. They're neat little additions to the game, I just wish I could remember to use them more often. But overall, I think this stuff pack is one of the most underrated packs ever. I absolutely love it.
Number 5.
Movie Hangout stuff. This is the pack to just barely make it into my top 5. It was a pretty close call between this and Fitness for the number 5 spot, but Movie Hangout won in the end. I'm in love with the boho theme. It really provides something a bit different from what we're used to seeing in Sims packs. My Sims watch TV very often, so it's refreshing to change up their usual viewings with movies once in a while. This is another stuff pack that also goes really well with Get Together. One of my favorite clubs that I have in my game is a movie club, which is just dedicated to making popcorn and watching movies, but not watching TV. And I love how Sims can have a range of different reactions to different parts of the movies. And that does tie into the popcorn maker, which I do use a pretty decent amount. There's a few different varieties of popcorn that can be made depending on the cooking skill, and there's some cute animations like Sims trying to catch a kernel with their mouth after tossing it into the air, or even spilling the bowl during a horror flick. They can also declare their favorite movie genre. It's just too bad you can't select that from Create a Sim. It's a bit strange that they went with this theme for a movie pack instead of the more obvious movie theater venue, but I still love what we received in Movie Hangout, and hopefully it doesn't rule out content for a more complete movie theater experience like ticket machines, NPC-run concession stands, and designated shows that start by themselves in the future.
Number 4.
Toddler stuff. Yeah, before you get out your pitchforks, let me explain how this stuff pack ranks so high on my list. Yeah, I know, the ball pit sucks, so much controversy. Well, yeah, with that out of the way, remember, there's more to this stuff pack than the ball pit. I feel like people act as if the ball pit is literally the only thing in the pack, and yeah, if that were the case, then, of course, it would probably be very close or at the bottom of this list and not be worth $10. But it's not. There's more. There's the slide, there's the jungle gym for toddlers, there's a lot of cute clothes and objects too. And toddlers, I think, really need more content, so it was nice to have a stuff pack dedicated to them. And the ball pit's graphics were updated to a more acceptable level pretty shortly after the initial pack release, so my only real issue with it now is that it's a weird fit for this pack because it focuses on having a toddler playground, but it's very rare that I ever see a ball pit placed outside. Maybe only once I've ever seen one outside, otherwise I always see them indoors, so it just seems a little bit bizarre. Personally, I would have rather had the changing tables from The Sims 2 return instead of the ball pit. But apart from that, I think this stuff pack is really well made. You can even host playdates with your toddlers if you want, and I think that's absolutely adorable.
Number 3.
Oh, we're finally in the top 3 now. Are you excited? So number 3 is backyard stuff. I was absolutely shocked to see this only ranked 10th on Sims Community Stuff Pack poll. Really? Am I that much in the minority? I think this stuff pack is so well made. And I thought a lot of people agreed with me on that, but I guess that's not the case, especially since Cool Kitchen also ranked really high. What? Okay. As much as I like the bird feeder, I will concede that yes, it is kinda odd how the birds keep blipping in and out of existence. Like, why is the animation so janky? I don't know. But apart from that, I think everything else is pretty well done. I wish I could use the water slides more often. They're a bit large, but I mean, it's a water slide. You gotta have it be at least a decent length for it to make sense. And it is kind of funny how you can have the Sims gather bubbles on them if you put soap on the slide. The wind chimes are really nice too. I like how you can set them to different pitches, and I use those quite often to really help set the atmosphere for my backyards. The drink tray I don't use too much, but the drinks themselves I use in the dine-out restaurants pretty often. I really love the citrus swig especially. It reminds me a bit of Sprite. And the furniture, oh my gosh, it's so colorful and I love it. And in terms of Create a Sim items, this might actually be my favorite stuff pack out of all of them. And here's one other little fact you may not know. If your Sims view the little spinning wind catcher thing, there's a chance that they can get a dazed moodlet. So yeah, interesting minor touch there, and I just really love when they do little things like that. This stuff pack actually held the number 2 position in my list for quite a long time. So what topped it?
Number 2.
Laundry day stuff. If I told myself from a year ago that a stuff pack all about laundry would be the one to finally knock Backyard off the number 2 spot, my past self would have a good laugh. But wow, I did not expect this pack to be so well made. I'm still bummed that this idea won over living off the grid, but the Sim Gurus did really well with what the community decided on. The laundry system is a big improvement over The Sims 3, especially with the wash tub, which hasn't been in The Sims before. Thankfully, laundry is still optional, but I've still put laundry machines or wash tubs and clotheslines in most of my households. Before laundry was first introduced in The Sims 3 Ambitions, I was like, really? Laundry? Why would I want to do that in a video game? But in the end, I loved it for the realistic touch it brings to what's meant to be a life simulator. It gives a nice mood boost, it gives your Sims a way to be eco-friendly, and as I already said, laundry is not forced on you. And all of that made its way into laundry day stuff. But it's not just the laundry system in this pack that I love, but it has probably my favorite objects out of all the stuff packs so far, and the Create a Sim items are wonderful too. Even if you don't like laundry, you might still want to consider this stuff pack for the other items if you like the cozy country theme that's on offer. Throughout the history of The Sims, we've received so many different kinds of clothes and furniture, and the things that fall under the rustic country theme are definitely my favorite. I have so many Sims that really enjoy the outdoors and having sort of more humble furnishings, so this pack really speaks to me more than just about any other. It's definitely become an essential pack for me, as crazy as it sounds. And well, what could top this? There's only one more to discuss, so
Number 1.
Kids Room stuff is the one to reign supreme. When this pack first released in 2016, it shot right up to the top of my list and hasn't been shaken ever since. And I wonder if it ever will be. Laundry Day came close, but ultimately still couldn't claim the number 1 spot. Laundry Day is a great pack, don't get me wrong, but the gameplay is ultimately still something that's been done before. However, while the general theme of a kid's stuff pack has been done with one of the first stuff packs for The Sims 2, Kids Room puts a different spin on it, bringing fun new gameplay objects that haven't been done in the past Sims games. The Void Critters are one of my favorite things in The Sims 4. The very Pokemon-inspired gameplay of collecting and trading cards and battling them with their own elemental advantages and disadvantages are such a huge callback to my childhood. And the Puppet Theater is also a nice form of entertainment for our Sims. And considering the Parenthood game pack was still about a year away, this was our first major step towards getting more interesting gameplay for our kids, as the game before that really felt like it was focusing so much on the adults. It was so refreshing to see a pack that focuses entirely on the kids for once. all of the Create a Sim items are for children. There's actually nothing for adults. The only new things for the adults is that they can watch the puppet theater, but they can't actually perform the show themselves. And, of course, sit on the new chairs, but that's it. But speaking of life stages, what's really interesting in terms of the direction of the Create a Sim items and furniture is that they're more oriented towards older kids as they're starting to get towards their preteen years. So it's kind of interesting that the look of these objects can really just contribute a feel to an older age group, even if there aren't literally preteens in The Sims. But still, it's pretty interesting, and I definitely get a lot of use out of the clothing and objects, just like I do with Laundry Day stuff. As I play with families pretty often, this pack is very essential to me. Unless you really hate playing as children in The Sims, I think this pack needs to be in your collection. It's the first stuff pack for The Sims 4 that truly blew me away, and to this day, is still only one out of about a handful to do so. The stuff packs are meant to be catered towards very specific niches, and more gameplay for kids was something sorely needed. While there's still, of course, more things they could add for kids, this is a big step in the right direction. There's zero doubt in my mind that as of May 2018, Kids Room is not only my favorite stuff pack for The Sims 4, but my favorite in the entire history of The Sims franchise. Well done, Stuff Pack team. You really proved that even stuff packs can be really worthwhile additions to the game.
What? Oh, the video's finally done? Okay. Well, yeah, that was my personal rankings for the stuff packs from worst to best. So, yeah, we have a lot of these, and in my opinion, a few too many. And it's been a fairly mixed bag. We've had some pretty stellar ones, in my opinion, like Kids Room stuff and Laundry Day. And then we've had some that are kind of like, they're not great, but not bad either, like Vintage Glamour. And some atrocities like My First Pet stuff. So hopefully as The Sims 4 continues to progress, we'll have less atrocities and more actual decent additions to the game, especially since these stuff packs are coming out really often. I hope they try and do some like more like interesting stuff that maybe hasn't been done in The Sims before. Like with Kids Room stuff, we got like some really interesting things that we hadn't had, like the Puppet Theater and the Void Critter Battle Station. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I do plan on doing more of these rankings in the future. Like I mentioned in the previous one about doing my favorite expansions of all time, like across the entire franchise. And yeah, I mean, at this point, for the sake of completeness, I'll have to do one on the Sims 4 expansion packs. That one I can imagine will go by much quicker because sadly we do not have many of those yet. But yeah, with that, be sure to leave a like or a comment or even subscribe, because it lets me know that you like my channel, my videos, and it helps you keep up to date more easily with the latest content from me. I do videos on The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I'll talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!